Hi, I'm Lorena Townsend, author of Write by Number, and a couple weeks back I offered to answer questions, which of course I'm always happy to answer questions because I'm a teacher. And if I can help other people, that's always my goal. If I can help students, that makes me even happier. So there were a couple of questions that people had that they wanted me to answer. So the first one is, how do you help students come up with writing ideas? And there's a couple of ways you can do this. First, you can give them multiple options yourself. So you can just come up with some options yourself and have them pick, but always leave you pick your own as an option, because part of the thing you want to accomplish in Write by Number is to have the students develop their own voice. And if you're always telling them what to write about and dictating how they have to write something, they never learn to take what's in their head and put it down on paper, something they're interested in their words, using their vocabulary, and put it on paper. And so you don't want to always assign. Sometimes you can, but I think that Write by Number works best when you are not assigning topics. You can use it in correlation, or in conjunction is the word I was looking for. In conjunction with a curriculum like history works really well, where you can say, hey, since you're writing a paragraph to summarize what we learned in history today, I want you to use your Write by Number skills in that. So if they're on a 1-2-2 paragraph, they have to write a 1-2-2 paragraph. If they're on a 1-2-2 essay, they're writing a 1-2-2 essay, or whatever it is. So wherever they are, you can have them apply that, and you can count it for both English and history if you have to do separate grades, if you're in a school or something like that. But for the most part, you want them to try to come up with things that are they're interested in. So help them to find those things. Well, what did you do today? What did you notice today? What do you hope to do tomorrow? Actions are really good for, especially for students who struggle with finding ideas, because usually those kids are less theoretical and they're more action oriented. So if you have a child who's very kinesthetic, they're going to be able to describe what they're doing, not necessarily what they're thinking about. They're not going to have deep thoughts about, oh, I learned these fascinating facts in history. They don't care about that. What they care about is what they did with their friends today. And those are the kinds of things you want them to work on. And they can learn all the rules of grammar, and they can learn spelling, and they can learn vocabulary through those things too. It doesn't have to be a particular kind of topic, because once they learn to take what's in their head and put it on paper, then you don't have to worry about what they're going to do later. When they have to do something maybe they're not interested in, they're already going to have the habit. They're already going to be in the habit of knowing how to take what's in their head and put it on paper. So helping them come up with things is, for some kids, it's very needful. Others, never. They always have a million ideas. The other thing is, don't be afraid to let them write about the same thing for months. As a student is gaining confidence in his or her writing skills, he or she will get stuck in a certain thing. Like I've had students who were not confident in their writing skills, who every day would say, I have two books. The next day would be, I have 2 balls. The next day would be, I have 2 whatever. And they would stay in that sentence pattern over and over and over. And as a teacher, it's incredibly boring to read, but what you have to understand what's happening for them, which is they're developing the confidence to write a paragraph. They're getting the pattern of the paragraph down. They're learning how to spell each of those words. They're learning that sentence pattern until it's ingrained in them. Then when they start to get a little braver and they feel more confident, then they might switch. Okay, well, I went 2 places today, and they'll do that for a while. So those, your more reluctant writers are going to kind of stick with that for a while, and that's okay. Don't freak out. This is a long-term program. This is not a, hey, I'm going to get your kid writing in a month. That's not going to happen. That's not realistic. This is years. It's okay to have a student write like that for months and months. The goal is not short term, it's long term. So there's that. So don't be afraid of letting them do that. I'm trying to think of other ideas about writing topics. I think that's about it. Let them write about what they want, even as long as it's appropriate, right? So if it's inappropriate, obviously they shouldn't be writing about it. But if it's, and boys and girls, they're going to write different things. Sorry, they do. I was a teacher for a long time. I raised 5 kids in my own home. They just think differently. And they're going to have different interests, and that's okay. This is a generality. Obviously, it's not true for all kids, but that's usually what happens. Is they're going to have different kinds of paragraphs. They're going to have different kinds of interests. But you can always give them a few ideas to get started, and then once they get in the habit, this is one more thing. A lot of times, students are so used to being dictated to that they aren't used to being allowed to write about anything they want. And so they'll be very, very hesitant. They'll be like, I can really write about everything I want, anything I want. And they'll try it and they'll see how you react. And they're like, really? I can write about that? And then they'll get more and more brave. It's when students are afraid that it's the wrong topic, that they're going to get it wrong, that they get kind of stuck. There's some that kind of fall into that category. So that was question number 1. Question number 2 was will this program work for, and then it's always, I have a dyslexic learner, I have a English as a second language learner, I have somebody who's a really good writer, I have somebody who's, we have done no writing instruction the first, this child has never had any writing instruction for the first 10 years, and now what do I do? Is this going to work? The answer is yes. It works for everybody. I specifically made it that way. I had to make it that way because it had to survive with however many students I had, whether it was 100 and whatever students, and I had to teach all of them to write, and I had to do it efficiently. So that's how the program came about, is yes, everybody. The most gifted writer will whip through the program quickly. They'll soak up those sentence patterns. They will incorporate it into their already great writing, but it will be better. It will work for them. They'll get it. The most reluctant writer, the child who doesn't even speak English as a first language, it's going to take them longer. And they're going to just write simple sentences at first. That's fine. That's fine because they're learning the grammar and the spelling along the way. So the answer is yes, it works for everybody. The hardest part of the program is for the teacher to be patient. I think that's what we do wrong in our educational system, is we push too hard, too fast, and then we have kids that are failing and we don't know why. It's because they didn't master the beginning skills. So be patient, they'll get there.